Galaxy S26 Ultra, I'm going to do a teardown of this device, completely remove everything inside. The first thing to do is to hit the back glass of this S26 Ultra. I heated this one for 1 minute, 60 seconds at the highest setting on this heat gun, 1100 Fahrenheit, and the air output was 50%. So right after that, I used the suction cup in order to create a small opening between the back glass and the frame of this S26 Ultra. Then I inserted a guitar pick in order to start the removal process of the back glass. You simply need to take the guitar pick and move it on all four corners of this device. You absolutely do not need to insert a big portion of the guitar pick, just a small amount of the guitar pick needs to be inserted between the glass and the frame of the device. This is going to help you detach the double-sided tape from the back glass. And after that, you can simply open the device and have a look at the internals of the S26 Ultra. My first impression, it looks similar to the S25 Ultra. You can see this device also has the same type of optical image stabilization that they used to have on the S25 Ultra. And the back glass itself looks very similar despite having a small change in dimension. Okay, the double-sided tape also is the same. It is not what they did with the S25 Edge. The first component to disconnect was the wireless charger, the wireless charging coil. I removed 4 screws that hold the wireless charger coil on the motherboard. After that, I can simply disconnect the cable, move at the bottom of the device and lift the wireless charger portion that is attached to the loudspeaker, and then continue at the middle of the device in order to remove the wireless charger assembly and the small portion that is made for the S Pen. So all these are held by double-sided tape, so make sure that you're careful while pulling it so that you do not damage any of these components. The big difference thing that I can see is having 2 battery cables on this device. This is the first one that I just disconnected, and the second battery cable is on the right of the device. I just disconnected that one also. This is particular for the S26 Ultra because it has 60 watt charging, which was 45 on the S25 Ultra, and the 25 Ultra had only 1 battery cable. In order to proceed, I need to remove all the other flex cables that are connected to the motherboard. So this is what I'm doing. This one has a small sticker that you need to remove before you can disconnect it from the motherboard. After that, I disconnected the third cable, which is the cable for the screen. Then I can have access to the battery fully. So again, this is the old battery design that they did on the S25 series. This is making the battery removal process relatively easy. You simply need to peel out the stickers that are on top of the battery, and after that you simply grab the battery and remove it. This is very easy. It is not like what they used to do before, where you had to pull a sticker that is going to push the battery out of the slot where the battery is sitting. The other impression that I had, the vapor chamber didn't seem too big compared to the S25 Ultra. Both of them have relatively the same shape, but it is slightly different. The S26 Ultra might be slightly bigger in terms of area. I just removed all the screws that were on top of the loudspeaker, but I did forget to remove one. After removing that screw, I can simply lift the loudspeaker, and this one is different also than what they used to do. The loudspeaker is only the speaker. It doesn't have the vibrating motor like they used to do it on the S23 Ultra and S24 Ultra. So before I can access the charging module board, you need to disconnect the cables. I'm disconnecting the cable that are connected to the charging module and the cable that went to the screen panel. So this is very good. You have individual flex cables that you can replace if they go bad. The same is true for the charging module. If your device does not charge and you have issues with charging on your smartphone, you can also replace the whole charging module and everything is going to work again. Before you can remove the charging module, you will need to remove the SIM card tray, and after that you will need to remove 2 screws that held the charging module in place. Because of the rubber seals around the charging port, it is kind of a little bit difficult to remove, but if you pry it out in the right way, you will see the charging module is going to start moving, and after that you can simply grab it with your hand and have a closer look at the charging module. Here's the charging module for the S26 Ultra, very similar to what they used to do with their Galaxy S series. So now I'm going to work on the top of the device, the motherboard, and all the other stuff around it. I removed all the screws that were holding the front speaker of this S26 Ultra. After that, I disconnected two flex cables that are near the front speaker. So here also with the speaker, you have a rubber around it, which makes it a little bit difficult to remove. But this rubber is to keep water out from entering the inside of your S26 Ultra. The next step was to disconnect flex cable for the 5G antenna on the right, and after that disconnect the cable for the front camera. Normally after all this, you should be able to move the motherboard and remove it. But in this case, it wasn't moving, and this is the primary reason why I always tell you, do not force anything inside the smartphone. If it doesn't move, there is a reason why it is not moving. So for this one, there is one screw that I forgot to remove. It is the one that is holding the ultra-wide camera lens on this motherboard or on the frame of this device. So after removing this screw, I should be able to move the motherboard freely without any obstruction. And as you can see, the motherboard is moving a lot better now. I can remove the motherboard out of the frame of this S26 Ultra. So here's the motherboard of this device. Surprisingly, here also they did add some thermal paste, similar to what they did with the S25 Edge. Thermal paste or more thermal paste is going to increase the heat dissipation on the motherboard for a smooth performance on your S26 Ultra. Here's the inside of the S26 Ultra. Overall, very similar to the S25 Ultra. So now what I'm going to do is to remove the cameras. Show you how to disconnect the cameras on the S26 Ultra, and if you want to change one camera, you can do it. They have made it a lot easier to get rid of a bad camera instead of replacing the whole camera block. The first thing to do is to disconnect all the flex cables that are attached to the motherboard. You're going to disconnect 4. You have 4 main cameras on the back of this device. After that, you simply detach the board part and you can separate the cameras and the board. Here's the camera for the S26 Ultra, and after that you can simply continue in the disassembly of the camera block. You have this one, which is the main camera sensor and the ultra wide. For this one, the ultra wide is the one that you can remove and change. The main camera is fused with the camera block. So here on this one, it seems the periscope camera is the one that you cannot remove. The other one you can remove and replace. For the reassembly, make sure that you do everything in the reverse order. At the step for the battery, I reinstalled the battery on this S26 Ultra and added all the cable for the battery, then turned the device on to make sure that everything is working after doing this massive disassembly. Right after that, I added the wireless charging assembly, then added all the rest of the screws to make sure that everything goes well. The next step was to turn the device on, test before adding the back glass, then do the installation of the back glass on this device, and after that, disassembly, reassembly, everything went well.